Hi, everyone. This is Krisha Young here, and welcome to the Dirt and the Divine podcast. This is where we say what needs to be said. And today I have a amazing, wonderful goddess, beautiful friend, new friend, but friend nonetheless, Trudy Stoner. Hi, thank you so much for being here on this podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Krisha. I'm so excited too about all of it. The new friendship and the invitation to be here. I'm grateful.
It's so amazing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about, Trudy's going to share her story, and we're going to talk about how deep heartbreak led to love like you've never seen before. Okay. So this is not your typical love story. And once you see and feel real love, you can't unsee it, right? You
Right.
just can't unsee it. It's an energy like you've never experienced before. So we're going to talk about that today. Like, what is love? What is it not? Like, let's go into the nuances. Let's go deep into the dirt and come out on the other side in the divine and start, exploring this vastly rich and complex and everybody wants it, everybody needs it subject. And it's one of those topics that we're fed all of this misinformation out there, and we don't have a clear real truth around it. So I want to hear your story about all of that. And so take it away, Trudy.
Yeah,
Like, go for it, girl.
absolutely. I mean, I think you just really nailed it when it was like, we're not taught about love.
Yeah.
We just aren't taught about love. Well, we are inadvertently. We are from well-meaning adults and by living by example, but they were taught by their parents, and it goes on and on and on. And we're doing it wrong. I mean, we are doing it wrong. We've got it completely ass backwards, and we don't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're doing the very best that we know to do. But here's the beauty of it. We can learn to do it different, and we can learn because it is who we are. So I'm going to start there.
Yeah.
With that.
You're right.
Really believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that we are love. And we know that when we're babies, right? Babies show up and they're just in love with the world. And I just read this amazing story by Louise Hay that talks about a dinner where there's an 18-month-old baby, and he just kept leaving the table and going to a full-length mirror and kissing the mirror and flirting with himself in the mirror, and then going back to the table. And he was just in joy, in bliss, and never thought about the people that were watching him, didn't have an ounce of self-consciousness. I'm in love with this other little person in the mirror, and I'm going to show it. And so we are born innately whole in knowing that we are love.
Yeah.
And we just slowly get taught out of it.
Right. Like, it's not like that baby was like, does my diaper look fat in this? Like, does my butt look fat in this diaper? Or like, oh my gosh, I have so many like chubby wrinkles on my stomach or something. Like, babies we don't do that.
No.
We are conditioned to do that.
I don't even think the babies are aware of that they have a body. They're still so anchored in spirit,
right.
And they really are. They're just completely like that wouldn't even occur to them.
Right. Yeah. I've had moments like that now as an adult, that being in that spiritual space, that sometimes I forget I have a body now.
Oh, I love that.
I can resonate with that. Anyway, awesome. Tell us your story.
Okay, so my story for heartbreak, like, oh my gosh, starts. I got married when I was 21, and I really was living like the fairy tale. I was deeply in love with my husband, and we had a baby, and we got pregnant again when she was 9 months old, and we just purchased our first home. And I can remember this feeling of euphoria. I remember being pregnant and going, I don't know, Target or something to buy some plants for my yard and in my new home. And this is, I want you to take note of this. Like, this joy that I'm feeling, right, is a lot very dependent on the external, the picture, the idea that I have about what creates a perfect life.
And life and marriage. Yeah.
And so fast forward, and my second daughter is 4 days old. I'm at my house. My father-in-law is there. My mom is there. My husband's at work. I've got the newborn. I've got the 18-month-old, and there's a knock on my door. And I open the door, and no freaking joke, Krisha, if you remember the movie Roger Rabbit, like the cartoon, the Jessica Rabbit, you know, really sexy, voluptuous, beautiful,
redhead.
Yes, redhead. Everything a postpartum woman does not want to sleep on the porch. This woman in human form is standing on my porch. And she just very calmly says to me, I'm an acquaintance of your husband. Oh, and by the way, I'm 3 months pregnant. And, you know, it's been 32 years. So I'm able to talk about it without crying. I'm able to talk about it without, like, you know, really getting super sad and having the anxiety come back up. I can actually even talk about Jessica Rabbit and laugh about it, because a lot of healing has happened. A lot of growth has happened. And honestly, that was the dirt that led to the healing, to the divine. But in that moment, if you imagine, like, it was like someone sucked the air out of me. And I went into complete shock, just shut down shock. And I went in the house, and I went in my bedroom, and I shut the door, and I literally just fell on the floor. Just sobbed, just racking sobs, can't breathe. What the hell just happened? I'm in shock. I feel like I left my body. I feel like I'm observing myself on the floor, like I'm watching this from a different place, because it's so surreal that this can't fucking be happening. This just can't be happening. And then I literally kind of, and this is where our conditioning is so powerful, I went into fear instantly. I went into programming, both socially and, you know, from my family life, into this reactive mode, where it was like I was floating for the next few days.
For sure.
I just couldn't really absorb it, but I went into straight autopilot. I called my dad. I called my friends. I had a moving van and a crew and at my house within 24 hours.
Wow.
And was like moved out and moved to a different city. I ran home. I went home to the safety of my parents, and where I had help. I mean, I had a newborn. I mean, like a really newborn. I couldn't eat. I was so heartbroken. And I say all of that because when we're gonna lead into what love really is and our conditioning. And it's super critically important, because sometimes we go straight into what we think we need, and it doesn't have anything to do with love. If I would have been where I am now and able to take in this information, but not take it personally, and stay anchored in love, that transition would have been so much healthier for me. Babies, right?
But sometimes what we need, sometimes these kinds of things, I mean, as tragic as that was, like, to get to this particular place, right? Like,
but it took
we don't have that instruction manual.
And it took me 30 years. Freaking 30 years.
Right.
And repeat cycles. Because I didn't know to choose love. And when I say choose love, I don't mean choose to stay in a marriage where there's infidelity if that didn't work for me. I mean choose loving myself. Choose love. That would have changed the trajectory of how I took in that information. I took it personally. So there's a lot. Learn from that.
There is. And I I want to go down the rabbit hole, to use the word rabbit again, around the programming piece as well, like how you got into your programming, and like what happened. So you moved out, and, you know, you had this situation, and then you got involved in another relationship, right? And then like, when was your actual like awakening for this path to love? Like what at what point did you start to go, oh wait, there's another thing here? And how did that show up for you?
So I was single for about 7 months, and I rebounded. But more importantly is that it set off like a series of events. So it was not just that one relationship, it was a series of toxic relationships, because my belief was that I wasn't good enough.
Right.
That I had somehow done something wrong, that I wasn't a good enough wife, that I wasn't thin enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't, you
Right.
name it, I wasn't enough, because otherwise he would never have cheated. So I took that, and it assimilated as like fear and anxiety about abandonment and rejection. And so it was just literally, it took me years. And I'll talk about my divine aha moment in just a moment. But what happened is I started doing some really deep soul searching to figure out, what the hell? How am I in another toxic relationship? Like, and when I say toxic, it ran the gamut from, addiction to, narcissism. I mean, it ran the gamut. But at the end of the day, what was happening is I was choosing men that I saw as more broken than me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was pretty broken.
Right. Right.
I felt pretty broken. So I was picking some real winners, because they had to be, and it wasn't conscious. It's not like I sat down and went, let's see which guy I can choose.
What qualities of like the worst person for me I can choose.
Yeah. So totally subconscious.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that because I'm like, then I'm the prize. Then I'm not going to get cheated on. I'm not going to get abandoned. I'm not going to get rejected, because he's going to feel so lucky to be with me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I became everything that you shouldn't. Codependent.
Yeah.
I became a chameleon.
Yep.
Oh God, an expert. I was absolutely the winner if I could get you to love me.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing to do with whether it was good for me.
Right. It's that, this is a big issue with women. And it's that placeholder. It's that, like, if our hearts are big enough, then, we can even change this person. It's that savior, right?
Yes.
It's the victim perpetrator savior loop that we can get into, right? And it's all tied into self-worth, and it is literally down to that lack of self-love, right? And we're not taught that. Like, that baby has it like conditioned out of them at some point. And now here you are continuing to tell that story to yourself over and over and over again. And your subconscious, that part of you, that child inside of you that was looking for that love and seeking that love, had, whenever the way I describe how these things happen is like, we have the original wound when we're little, however that happens, right? That tells us we're not lovable, we're not good enough, we're this, we're that, whatever it is, right? And then now we have a lens over our eyes that then just like forms every single relationship going forward.
Yes.
Or everything going forward. I'm not lovable. Okay, so now this is gonna happen. Sorry, my phone is connected to my computer, so it's blinging. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know how to undo it. But then we go into that pattern over and over and over again throughout our lifetime. And our higher self, our conscious self, is like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we with these people? Why are we in this situation? Why are we in this job? And we try to like fix it and do whatever. But if we're not working on that unconscious conditioning and understanding what that's actually running the show, we're just going to continue to repeat these patterns over and over and over again until we get to the point of that aha and that awakening to go, no, something else. So what was that for you?
Well, and so here's where it's super critical that we at least identify where it comes from. Where did the stories, where did it, like you said, when we're a child, at some point we decided to buy into a belief.
Yeah.
and that unworthiness, right? And so it's not like, there's like this fallacy that says that, you know, it's going to take like years and years and years of work and peeling back the onion layers. That's not necessarily true, because the way that we experience life as human beings is through thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally anything in our past only exists now through the vehicle of thought. It's an illusion, right? When we shine a light on it, it's like turning on the light in a dark room.
Yeah.
We have the power to
Yeah.
drop it. We can change that story in an instant. We can drop that illusion. We can drop it, but we have to see it to know how to drop it, because otherwise that subconscious, we need to rewrite the story. So for me, this is huge, because I had to go and do some work. I was adopted, and when my biological mom was pregnant with me, she was married to somebody that wasn't my dad, and I don't know whether they were separated or what. I would suspect, because of the story. She had 2 kids already, and they were like old enough to you know, they were like 5 and 7, and she hid her pregnancy. So nobody in the family knew that she was even pregnant with me. And then she put me up for adoption. I know this because she did it again 18 months later with my little sister, who I did not grow up with. I did not know any of this until about 5 years ago, when I found, you know, my biological family, and I was able to talk to her, do a DNA test, all of that. My mom did the same thing with her, only she got caught with her. And so that's a totally different story. But for me, the way that this impacted me is on a really deep cellular level. Imagine you're in the womb. The energy is about shame. The energy is about, I don't want you. This is a secret. This is a shameful thing. This is a bad thing. And I'm soaking up that energy. Then I'm born, and I'm immediately whisked away to who knows where. I have no idea. I was 3 months old before I was actually adopted into a permanent home. So every time, this is like where the actual hormones come into play, like I think it's which is the bonding hormone?
The oxytocin.
Okay. So every time I bonded, whether it was, because think about an infant. I'm going to bond with whoever's nurturing. So whether it's a nurse in the nursery, whether it's the very first foster family, whether it's a caregiver somewhere. Every bond for the first 3 months was broken. It was severed. So that teaches like a deep, deep wound that says nobody wants me. I'm being rejected. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. I had no freaking idea about any of this until I was like in my 40s, because that's when you said, when's the aha moment that said, what the fuck am I doing? When I was 50 is my big divine breakthrough, where I literally heard enough. And it's like, I'm getting off the ride. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to figure out what healthy love is. I'm going to figure out what this looks like, and I'm going to break this cycle once and for all.
I think a lot of women experience this in their like there's the midlife crisis that women have, right? And it's not as commonly known for women, but women have it. Like both men and women experience this. You know, in human design, it's Uranus opposition. So it's you literally, like a shift happens that gets you out of the conditioning and into your true purpose, right? And it usually happens around like between 37 and 50 or whatever, like in there is that breaking point where we're just like, we can't, and we want to break free from the old stuff so that the new can arrive. Some people have it happen earlier in life. Like there's a lot of 25, 24-year-olds, 26-year-olds who are experiencing that. But I think that's more about what's going on in the world right now, you know, where we are in that energetic shift. But okay. So you have your aha moment, right? Like talk to me about that.
So I had a mini aha moment, and then I had a divine download about healing, and that was where my book manifested. But the really big divine download that I got, I had been dating a man for about 8 months, and I look back now and I can see that I've had maybe 3 healthy relationships ever, right? And all the rest were just dysfunction and toxic. And so I had been dating a man. This is after my divorce and my aha moment. And we dated for about 8 months, and it was really good. Like we never, I mean, we just were so compatible, right? But it did end up ending because I had made a choice to move, and we were going to try the long distance thing, and that just didn't work for him. So the relationship ended, and I was heartbroken. Like, but this is the very first time in my life that I was heartbroken for the right reason.
Right.
I was heartbroken because I loved him and it didn't work out, and I was sad and I didn't want to let it go. I wasn't heartbroken because I was lied to and there was deceit and betrayal or abuse. I wasn't heartbroken because of that. I was heartbroken for all the right reasons. And it actually felt phenomenal to experience that, because it meant I really loved, and I loved well.
Yeah.
I was going to be okay. But I was still going through a process, and I had made a conscious decision to go into the grief, to really experience it and not to just sugarcoat it. 3 weeks after that breakup, my mom passed away.
Yep.
That was big. That was big.
Opportunity to open more.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just thought, okay, let's do it. Let's do this. I can remember coming out of my bedroom and getting onto my staircase, and there was a beautiful photo, like collage on my staircase that I had hung, and there was a picture of my mom and dad. And I just, in the moment, I just sat down on my staircase and I just started to sob. And I was just fully feeling the grief of the loss of both my mom and this love. And I just felt this is one of those like storybook things. I felt this wash of like peace. I get goosebumps right now because, and I visually could see in my mind's eye, right? It's not like I was hallucinating. It was in my mind's eye, but I could see myself again, like the observer sitting on the staircase crying. And I could see lights, like twinkly little, almost like raindrops, but twinkly, and they were yellow and white. Then they came down and they went through my head. They were inside and outside of me at the same time, washing through me, washing around me, straight through my body, and then exploding into the entire room of the entire house. And I knew in an instant it was love. I knew that I knew that I knew in an instant that that was what love really is. It was energy. It was God. It was universe. It was source. It was spirit. It was everything, but it was love. And it was all around me, all through me, had me so tight, had me. And I was so safe. And I saw it so
suffocating tight.
No, so expansive, so safe, like floating in this beautiful sea of love. And I saw in an instant that I hadn't lost any kind of love. Like the love that I had experienced for both my mom and for him was always coming from within me.
Yeah.
And that just because they had left my life, one physically, the other, relationally, did not mean that that love was gone. Yeah. I still could love them with all my heart. I just was no longer in relationship with them.
Yeah, for different.
And the loss I was feeling was an illusion. The loss I was feeling was because of the way I felt about it and thought about it. When I reframed it and went, oh, I can really still really be anchored in love. It doesn't change anything on the inside. I am that love. Yeah. That love is with me all the time. That love is me. So now I'm no longer affected by an outside event to feel it.
Yeah.
It was profound. And that's what I mean. Once you see that, you can't unsee that, because now, whether, when dating and relationship, we all know, we all have experienced this. This is where we step into ego. Yeah. Is he going to text? Is he going to call? Am I going to hear from him? Yeah. That's that outer dependence on something external to make me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It's when I anchor in and remember that I am love, I'm no longer dependent on that to feel good.
Yeah. Yes. 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 I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so true because, yes, because prior to that moment, your sources of love were coming from external pieces and you hadn't yet recognized the internal, that you are love. And some people go through an entire lifetime and die without knowing that,
That's right.
you know? And God, like, I want for the rest of the time that we've got, I want to talk more about this particular thing here that we're talking about, right? Um, this sensation of love, this, the internalness of it and the grief, right? And how, like the thing that I had been practicing over the last couple of years with regards to this very similar, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like once you feel it, you can't unfeel it, right?
Yeah.
Is like, it's like just this heart opening. It's like you open it and then it's like you go and you have feelings, you go with your heart, you know what it is. And I think where a lot of people get like knocked off course is that you are going to be disappointed. You
Yeah.
are going to be heartbroken. You are going to have shit hit the fan. Like it's going to happen. And what I think, goes on with men and women is the more heartbreak we have, the more we put those anchors on or the armor over our heart. And I remember reading David Dida years ago, Dear Lover, and he called it, the cockles over your heart. You need to relax the cockles over your heart, right? And so that's when I started to go, yeah, I have cockles over my heart, whatever a cockle is, right? But like, some sort of armor over my heart. And then it became the practice of open and then, oh, I'm disappointed. Keep it open, keep it open, keep it open. Sit in the discomfort of the pain. It is the only way to get to this place. And
Yeah.
how you did it was sitting in that grief. And
Yeah.
I think I did a lot of, articles and live streams and stuff like that this year or last year, 2020, on grief, because we are and were experiencing grief, in so many ways. And we only associate grief with, death, but grief shows up in many, many, many ways. It
Absolutely.
has so many layers to it, right? And I think we try to rush through it. We try to rush through that pain. We try to rush through the grief. We try to, oh, get over it, get over him, like, oh, and I mean, people are more forgiving with death, not rushing people through that process, but people do tend to rush people through relationship breakup or
Oh,
whatever.
yes.
Like, yeah, you got to get over him by getting under someone else kind of thing,
Right.
and it's like, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
so softening and opening that heart and having that pain be there and your heart open in it. It's like, Care Bear stare kind of thing, like it's just like, okay, I can take it, I can take it, I can take it, I can take it. And then when you are having those disappointments or whatever it is, which is 3D because you've got expectations,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? um, and it's an indication that you're still reaching on that external plane for satisfaction or for whatever it is, for validation. When those things do happen, or when you are hurt by another person or whatever, if you're once you feel it, you can't close it.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you're just like, oh no, this side is way better.
Well, because you are it.
Yeah, you can't
Once
close
you
it.
see that, you can't unsee that. It's
Yeah.
like once you know that you are love,
Yeah.
you are the love of the universe, and you have incarnated into human form to have this experience. You can't undo that knowledge. Like, it. It's a knowing because it's who you are. So when you talk about like opening the heart, there's an awareness there that says, like, that's because that's the seat of our soul, right? Our heart center is where we feel that in our body. But when we really understand that that's who we are, you're exactly right. It's not like our heart's ever shut. It's exactly that. It's that we've put all these layers to protect ourselves. And the layers, here's the next beautiful aha. Every one of those layers is just a thought.
Yeah.
And we can drop thought.
Yes, it is just a thought.
And we can drop it just like that.
We can. And also, some of these thoughts are so deep that you can't tell, like they feel so real.
Yeah.
You're like, no, but this thought's different than the other thoughts. I know those other thoughts are bullshit. I know that those are all stories, but this thought, I'm telling you, this is a real thought, because it is so tied somatically to our bodies, right? In terms of that conditioning, in terms of that subconscious, it's just a different flavor of the same thought that you are already like, no, that thought doesn't, like, no, I've transcended that, right? But if, like, my girlfriend always says, if you're not feeling love and joy, you're in a pattern.
I love that.
Simple.
Oh God, that's beautiful. I love that.
Right? Her name's Shauna Arthur. So if you're not feeling love and joy, because that's what we are, you're in a pattern.
And some people, like you said, go through their whole life in their pattern and they don't break it because they don't even see it. And that's their journey, right? That's their journey.
Yeah.
So really quickly, if it's okay, I want to like come back full circle to how I was talking, now that we've talked about what love really is and that idea that we're not, it's
not external, it's internal. Yeah.
Imagine now, if you will, the exact, because I've done this 1,000 times. Imagine, if you will, the same scenario. Knock on my door. I open the door. Jessica Rabbit tells me that she is pregnant with my husband's baby. But I am love.
Yeah.
I now have the knowledge that I didn't have then. I have this knowledge now. I have this knowing that nothing external can affect my internal unless I let it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm numb. It's not that it's not going to hurt.
No. It's not
that I'm not going to experience heartbreak.
And it's not bypassing either.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. I can lean into the grief, but now the whole different is there's no need to necessarily immediately react. I can make decisions. I can think it through. I can take my time. I can stay very centered in love, that I am love and that I am enough and that I'm worthy and that this had nothing to do with me and my value and everything to do with his stories that are running him in the background, his subconscious, what he was shown when he was little, his invalidation, his feeling unworthy, because he's getting the ego validation.
That's right.
Then think about the trajectory. Think about all the other relationships that I got into. Choosing broken.
Yeah.
That could have been so different. And here's the root of it. And this is parents. I want your ears to perk up. We have the ability to teach this to our children.
Oh, yeah.
And change the freaking world. Teach kids that they are loved. When they're kissing the mirror, let them keep kissing the mirror when they're 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 and 20. They are loved.
I think the only way that parents can do that is when they learn to love themselves, right?
Yes,
it's like
you are right.
When I used to work a lot on the nutrition side of things with my clients years ago, it was like it's the monkey see, monkey do kind of concept, right? And it's like, if you are asking your kids to eat broccoli but you're not eating broccoli, there's a dissonance.
There's
an incongruity. That's an integrity breach, and they're not going to have respect for you when you say eat your broccoli, right? And it's the same thing here. A lot of women, when they come to work with me, and I'm sure you as well, they want to do this not just for themselves, but because also they have like maybe preteen or teens, right? Sometimes, or even older children or whatnot, and they're like, you know what? Because of this, I wasn't able to teach my children how to love. Right? And now I'm watching them repeat some of the same patterns that I did, and I don't want that. So I need to learn how to love myself so that I can teach my children and my family members and all of that, like, you know, whoever they care about, to have that for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it belongs. My biggest thing is all about personal responsibility. Always. It's like, take control of your own healing, your own thing. Do it for you. And the more you know you, the more you understand that you're loved, the more you understand who you are, the more confident and more loving you become, right? Because you're now anchored in that knowing of who you are. That's where a lot of that love comes from too. And also that allowing for that deep grief to be there. You know, my journey was slightly different in terms of finding love. And I just wanted to kind of poke this one in. I'm not going to go into the story, but just because you hear a lot of stories of people who had like these divine intervention moments. Like all of a sudden I was sitting there and I heard this voice. All of a sudden I was sitting there and I got this cascade of, you know, light all over me. All of that wasn't my experience. My experience was very slow and methodical over years, right? So it took me quite a few years. Like it was just like, I don't want to be like this anymore. And then I went to work on it. And so it wasn't like, bam, I had this epiphany and all of a sudden, like I had the flip switch for me. It was, I have a lot to undo here and I want that. And so it was for me, it was actually the layering of the onion, the unpeeling of that over and over and over again, that finally allowed me to open those cockles enough so that I could get that sensation. And once I had that sensation, it's like you anchor it in your body, right? You command save or whatever, you like command S or whatever, you have a PC, I don't know what it is. Right? It's like save, so that now you know what that sensation is and you anchor that in your cells and you just cultivate that over and over and over again. So what are the kinds of things that you would teach your women on how to like open themselves up to it and cultivate more of that energy in for themselves?
So the number one thing is that I teach them that the very first thing is to know that that is who they are innately. And there's that's not questionable, right? That is like a universal fact that we are love. And so, and we are energy, right? If you want to get into the real science behind it, I mean, we are energy.
Yeah, we are.
And so the very first thing I do is help them understand that, help them see that very clearly, because that's the component that has to be really anchored in first, is a trust and a knowing that that's who I genuinely am. Because then what happens is why meditation is so effective.
Mm-hmm.
When if you imagine a brilliant, beautiful, sunny day, that's us. That's our radiance. That's our light. That's the love. That's who we are.
Yeah.
And then you have a storm coming and you have cloud cover.
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to remember that the sun is actually shining. You've had like an inversion layer for 2 months and you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You start to think, you forget that it's still shining brilliantly. It's still there. It's just we can't see it. Now, our thoughts are the cloud cover.
Yes.
That radiance, that love, who we innately are, and we are whole, well, and innately love all the time, 24/7, our entire lives. It's our thoughts that are blocking that. That's it. It's that simple. It's literally, there's nothing else between us and who we really are, that love, except our thinking about it. So when we go into meditation, when we focus on our breath, when we get distracted, this is why when we're in the shower, we're driving, we're walking, we're distracted. Yes, because now we are more in tune with who we've always been, and it's right there. But we're now not thinking about something that's blocking it. The clouds part for a moment and we get a taste of who we really are. So I just teach my clients how to really reconnect with who they really are, and really do that. You don't have to do anything. It's who you are. But some effective tools are to learn to manage your thinking. And it doesn't mean reversing or positive psychology. It just means sometimes as simple as like, one moment before I had this thought pop in, I was in a really joyful place. Then I had this thought, and now, and a perfect example with dating, I hear this, and I bring this up because I hear this from my clients all the time. Like I was cruising along, having a great morning, working out, feeling good and eating right. And then at about 1 o'clock, I went, I haven't heard from
such and such yet. Right. Bam. All of a sudden gone.
Toilet.
Yep.
Why not?
Didn't like me anymore. Did I do something?
What did I say in my last text? You go back, you grab your phone, you go back through your last text messages. Did I say something? Did I do something wrong? Was it me? Am I getting rejected? Is he ghosting me? Is he going to ever call again? Then 30 minutes later, your phone goes off and you're like, oh, it's right with the world. It's okay.
External
And a story and a thought. If you think about how great you were before you had that thought that said, am I being rejected? You were doing great. So when we can realize that our thoughts are sabotaging and that we can drop them, and that we will recalibrate on our own. Like that is our natural state.
It is.
So without doing, I love this analogy. Michael Neal is one of my favorite authors that writes about this. He talks about a pond and crystal clear water in this beautiful pond. And then you get in the pond and you're touching the bottom and it stirs up the murk. And now all of a sudden the crystal water is no longer clear. You can't see through it anymore. And he asks this in his workshops. How do you clear the water? And people say sift it. People say boil it, all sorts of things. I have to do something. I have to do something. I have to do something. And he's like, you do nothing and it will settle on its own. It'll return to clarity on its own.
Yeah.
That's how we are. We will return to clarity on our own when we don't feel the need to do anything.
Oh my God. That's a whole other episode right there.
Okay. That's our clubhouse room.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Like, and we'll wrap it up now, but it's presence. It's presence. That's what meditation does. That's what dancing does. That's what going into nature does. That's what, like masturbation, when you're having an orgasm and you're reaching that euphoric state, right? Like all of those things get you into that place of settledness, of stillness.
And it's just settling. It's the water is clearing.
I love that analogy.
Clarity.
Yeah. I love that analogy because it's a really beautiful visual. And just to say, to your point was, that client was like all happy, hunky dory. And then her pattern kicked in.
Yes.
Her pattern kicked in, which is what the thought is. This is the subconscious shadow, right? The pattern kicked in, took over.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, for me, it's like, this is how I describe it with my clients. It's like you've got, and if you're not watching me on video right now, I have my hand on my face, like a freaking, like an alien octopus is on your face and you can't get it off. That's your pattern.
Yes.
Because you can't see anything. Now you're just like, why hasn't he called? Oh, I know why. It's because I am blah, 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 blah. Did I say something? Did I do something? Did I do something wrong? What did I do wrong? Believe me, I don't know anything about this. Right? Anxious attachment style here, yo. But yeah, like it's a pattern.
Yeah.
That pattern is from when you were a kid and you were rejected. And it's just that freaking storyline that wants to replay itself over and over and over again. You want to prove it.
Yep.
Right. And then, and again, that's an external source. And if you don't have the tools or the know-how or the awareness that you're in that pattern, which most people don't until they do. Once you're aware that you're in that pattern, that's when you can then take that step and go, stillness.
Drop the thought.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Perfect. Yes.
Oh my God, I love this conversation. Okay, so we've got more coming. And you had an offer for this audience that you wanted to share. So you've got your program. What's it called again?
Okay, you guys, so this is a labor of love, and I've been putting this together based upon coaching that I've done and programs that I've done and the book that I'm writing. So this has been, a while in the works, but it's the only Healthy Love Academy. And it is basically an online academy. It's a subscription-based site that you can go in to learn about all things love. And it literally covers what Christian and I were just talking about Love 101. What is love, and how do I fall so deeply, madly, joyfully in love with me?
Myself. Yeah.
And really lay a foundation for healthy love for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Then there's 5 categories. So it's Love 101, and it's love in abundance. It talks about the energy and alignment of flow and how to stay in it, how to live in it, anchored in love. And then Unbroken, which is life after toxic love, how to break those toxic cycles. And yeah, I can definitely speak to that.
Yeah.
Unattached, which is embracing single, which is like, yeah,
woo,
like, isn't it a bad thing? Yeah, embrace it, love it, and how like a whole year's worth of yummy, juicy, how like to really rock single.
Love it.
And then finally, finding forever love. Like once the foundation is built, once it's created, once it's in place, then the actual, like, now I'm ready, right? I'm ready for my person. How do I attract that person? How do I bring them in? And those are the 5 things. And so my offer to you, and I did start a founders group, and you guys are going to get the same exact deal that I gave my founders for the academy, which is like my advisory board. I'm doing this just for Krish's tribe, just because of this. It's a gift. And so what you can do is we'll put in the link. We're going to just give you a coupon code. And then you can go to my website, which is trudystoner.com. Super simple. Click on the academy link to join it and put in the coupon code. Can't get easier than that. And you're going to get 50% off.
Nice.
Like forever. Not like the first month. Whether you do an annual or a monthly, you're going to get 50% off.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Trudy. We need it right now. So I love it. I love it so much. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you as a woman who is really advocating for real love, you know, because it is the ultimate healer at the end of the day, right? And we want more healthier relationships. We need more healthier relationships in the world. And we're definitely not being taught about healthy relationships on television or in school, and our parents aren't even like really aware of it, right? So it's up to women like us who have experienced it and know what that heart opening is, in order like to teach other women and other men too, all of it. So I appreciate all of your wisdom and your story and your offer for the audience as well. So all of this is in the show notes. So people can find you at, you said trudystoner.com.
Right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love collaborating with you. It's like you said, more to come. I'm excited. Thank you. I appreciate this.
Thank you. And thank you to you too, viewer, listener, or however you tuned into this episode. I really deeply appreciate you being here. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that for Trudy or myself, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. We love to hear from you and, continue this conversation with you. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next